Before we begin, I thought it would be fun if everyone lets me know in the comments where they're watching this video from. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe. Now, let's start today's episode. A recently circulated photo has caught the attention of websites focused on mysterious creatures, though details surrounding its origin remain sparse. The image, captured by a trail camera, was uploaded to a computer and later screenshotted. The Bigfoot Research Organization suggested that the photo shows an adult and juvenile Sasquatch, noting that while sightings like this are rare, there have been several reports of people encountering more than one of these creatures. This has led some amateur researchers to propose that Sasquatches may form clans. However, scientists and animal behavior experts remain skeptical, offering alternative explanations like misidentified bears or other wildlife. Despite this, some researchers believe they are getting closer to proving the creature's existence. What adds an intriguing layer to this debate is the historical existence of a creature called Gigantopithecus, which resembled Sasquatch and once roamed parts of Asia. Though Gigantopithecus didn't live in North America, believers argue that this creature's scientific proof could point to a North American equivalent living in the dense forests, far from human reach. Hunters and researchers say that photographs like this, enabled by trail cameras, offer rare glimpses into wildlife that hikers rarely encounter. While it's still difficult to confirm the authenticity of such images, even scientists acknowledge the value in capturing potential evidence, though they stress that more studies are needed to draw definitive conclusions. One explanation they give is that wildlife such as bears can take on the appearance of humanoids, and they've even shown footage of bears walking on two legs, which mirrors the appearance of a large humanoid. They say this, along with being in the wilderness, could easily force someone into believing that they've just encountered a large, hairy humanoid. Amateur researchers, though, have said there's been thousands of encounters who have all detailed the same thing, and they've said they don't believe that every single one of these individuals have seen bears, even going as far as saying that some of these sightings have happened in locations where bears are not present. Interestingly, it's not until you look at some of these case studies that you realize just how many reports are made each year, along with happening in locations you wouldn't expect. In recent years, Mount Shasta and its surrounding forests have been considered a hotspot of supernatural activity, with events ranging from sightings of strange hovering bats to mysterious lights and even Sasquatch-like monsters. Most of these initial reports, however, seem to predate many of the modern Bigfoot encounters. Sightings of large humanoids have been reported in the area since the national park formed. The earliest reference to giant humanoid creatures living in the region comes from early Native American legends, and they called the creature the Shubsheds. Although the legends were not written down until around the spring of 1953, when nearby university professors interviewed Native American tribes from the region, the stories told remarkable similar descriptions of the local residents' claims of large humanoids dwelling within the mountains. According to early Native American legends, a race of giants called the Sharpshans were believed to inhabit the area around Floon Creek and the source of its waters. These giants supposedly used underground passages and cave systems to reach the top of Mount Shasta. The legends gained significant attention in 1962 when a woman, camping near the base of the mountain, claimed to have discovered a hidden area created by these large humanoids. She described finding makeshift huts made of leaves, broken branches, and snapped trees, along with a strange encounter where a large creature, resembling a hairy humanoid, gave birth to a small, monkey-like creature. According to her story, the creature spotted her and, after giving birth, immediately began to move as if it were going to attack. Terrified, the woman fled the area. The story gained further traction in 1971 when Virgil Larson, a 47-year-old man from Salmon, Idaho, reported a mysterious encounter that was later covered by local newspapers. Larson was working for a logging company near Mount Shasta and claimed to have seen a non-human creature while taking a break with his partner, Pat Conway. While hiking down the mountain, Larson initially mistook the creature for a Forest Serviceman, but as he got closer, he realized it was something much more unusual. This event, reported by the Mount Shasta Herald, would become another addition to the region's growing lore of strange and mysterious encounters around the mountain. Familiar with many of the workers in the area, Larson monitored the figure and shouted a warm greeting. Immediately, the figure froze in his tracks and turned towards Larson before attempting to rush down the side of the mountain in a different direction. Unsure of what was going on, Larson walked closer to the figure and shouted again, causing the figure to duck behind a nearby bush and peek its head over in Larson's direction. It was at this moment that Larson realized that the figure was not a Forest Service worker and was instead some unknown human identity. The stench of the creature started to disorientate Larson, as he would later recount that he'd most likely been downwind from the creature and could smell its pungent scent, which he likened to the smell of a half-rotten bear hide. Although he was unsure of the physical description of the creature, as Larson had been unable to get a look at the strange figure, he believed that it had been covered in dirty hair and said that it started out the eyebrow line and stretched over its forehead and head, leaving only its eyes, nose, and mouth exposed. Terrified by the strange sighting, Larson immediately ran from the creature back up to the slope and told several of his co-workers. Several of the workers immediately fashioned makeshift clubs and believed Larson's account, as many of the workers had heard stories of similar creatures in the area. Shortly after fashioning their weapons, the men returned to where Larson had encountered the creature and were able to smell the pungent smell Larson had described. Some of the men described the smell as a rotting animal smell, while others compared it to a pungent skunk smell. Despite spending another 30 minutes in the area, the men were unable to find any sign of the hairy humanoid. Terrified that similar creatures were lurking nearby, the men would contact the local authorities to conduct a proper investigation. Several hours later, Larson would be greeted by members of the United States Forest Service, and this was after using their CB radios to contact the nearby sheriff's office. The U.S. Forest Service members, Sergeant Bullington, along with Bob Gray, Rex Lebo, and Don Wabshaw, took the witness testimony of Virgo Larson completely seriously and started their investigation within the hour. Following Larson's encounter, U.S. Forest Service members used a bush the creature was standing behind as a reference point and estimated the creature's height to be around 7.5 feet. Bloodstains found on nearby branches were collected and sent for lab analysis, and a series of tracks were photographed across the mountain. However, the results of the blood tests and the track analysis were never made public. The official explanation for the sighting was that it was likely the work of a group of environmentalists who had camped nearby, around 2 miles from the logging operation. The Forest Service speculated that they might have staged a hoax to scare off the loggers. Despite this explanation, the environmentalists denied any involvement, and Larson continued to assert that he saw something entirely non-human that day. He pointed out that the size, smell, and movement of the creature made it difficult to believe that it could have been part of a hoax. Since Larson's sighting, numerous other reports of humanoid creature encounters have surfaced, with local residents and visitors alike claiming to have witnessed similar beings. These ongoing reports have led many amateur researchers to believe that Mount Shasta may be a site of supernatural activity, further fueling the area's growing mystique. If you're fascinated by unsolved mysteries and enjoying the video so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up to stay updated on all our latest content. Moving on to the next mystery. Volcanoes are categorized based on their size, activity, and the potential threat they pose to their surroundings. The two primary types of volcanoes are stratovolcanoes, or composite volcanoes, and shield volcanoes. However, supervolcanoes are a distinct and far more powerful type, much larger and more destructive than either of these. While typical volcanoes can range from a few hundred meters to several kilometers in height, supervolcanoes are on an entirely different scale, with calderas that can stretch tens of kilometers across. Typical volcanoes can erupt fairly often, sometimes multiple times a year or even more frequently. Supervolcanoes, on the other hand, erupt far less frequently, with intervals often spanning tens to hundreds of thousands of years. Though normal volcanic eruptions can be devastating to the nearby area, they are generally smaller in scale compared to the massive eruptions of a supervolcano. A supervolcano eruption typically releases at least 1,000 cubic kilometers of material, over 100 times the amount released by the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens. Normal volcanoes usually erupt magma that is high in silica and other minerals, making it thick and prone to explosive eruptions. In contrast, Supervolcanoes typically erupt with magma that is much less viscous and more fluid, which allows it to flow over a much wider area. A normal volcanic eruption can have devastating impacts on the surrounding area, including destruction of property and loss of life. However, a supervolcanic eruption can have impacts that are felt around the world, including global cooling due to ash and gas released into the atmosphere, which can have a significant impact on global climate and agriculture. Scientists have just warned that supervolcanoes are currently our biggest threat and that they have the ability to devastate modern society. Michael Cassidy, a professor of volcanology at the University of Birmingham, said the following: "Over the next century, large-scale volcanic eruptions are hundreds of times more likely to occur than our asteroid and comet impacts put together." End quote. This recent announcement comes after scientists were studying asteroids and our planetary defense and revealed that we are doing very little in regards to supervolcanoes. The researchers have also noted that the human population has massively increased since the last supervolcano eruption, further noting that increased human activity in volcanic areas, such as mining and geothermal power production, can sometimes trigger small to moderate eruptions. The researchers involved in the study said they came to this conclusion after looking at planetary defense systems around the world. Governments and global agencies spend varying amounts on planetary defense initiatives depending on their priorities and available resources. The main focus of planetary defense is to identify, track, and potentially mitigate the impact of near-Earth objects, such as asteroids and comets, that could pose a threat to the planet. The largest funder of planetary defense initiatives is currently NASA, which has an annual budget of around $150 million for its Planetary Defense Coordination Office. This office is responsible for leading NASA's efforts to detect and characterize potentially hazardous near-Earth objects, as well as developing and testing strategies to deflect or destroy them if necessary. Other countries and organizations also contribute to planetary defense efforts, but the funding amounts vary widely. For example, the European Space Agency has an annual budget of around $15 million for its Space Situational Awareness Program, which includes near-Earth object detection and tracking. Rather worryingly, it was during this study that researchers said that there's very little we can do when it comes to supervolcanoes. Supervolcanoes are considered to be one of the most dangerous natural disasters that could occur on Earth. A supervolcano eruption is an incredibly powerful explosion that can release thousands of times more energy than a regular volcanic eruption, and the amount of energy released is enough to cover an entire continent with ash, leading to global impacts. One of these eruptions can release an enormous amount of ash into the atmosphere, which can block out the sun for weeks, months, or even years. This can cause global cooling, which can impact agriculture and cause food shortages. The ash released during a supervolcano eruption can also combine with water vapor in the atmosphere, leading to the production of acid rain. This can damage crops, forests, and water supplies. A supervolcano eruption can also release pyroclastic flows, which are fast-moving currents of hot gas and volcanic matter, and these flows can reach speeds of over 100 kilometers per hour and can incinerate everything in their path. A supervolcano eruption can trigger tsunamis that can cause massive destruction along coastlines. The movement of large amounts of water can trigger massive waves that travel thousands of kilometers across oceans. The global effects of a supervolcano eruption can be felt worldwide. The eruption releases ash, gases, and other particles into the atmosphere, which can affect the climate, causing global cooling, shifts in rainfall patterns, and other environmental changes. Researchers studying these events have emphasized the extreme danger posed by supervolcanoes due to their powerful explosions, vast ash clouds, acid rain, pyroclastic flows, tsunamis, and global consequences. Though these eruptions are rare, the Yellowstone caldera in the United States is the most well-known supervolcano currently considered potentially active, having last erupted around 640,000 years ago. Experts have warned that one of the most concerning consequences of a supervolcano eruption would be its severe impact on agriculture. The eruption would produce an ash cloud that blocks sunlight, leading to a drop in temperatures and diminished photosynthesis in plants. This could result in lower crop yields, potentially causing widespread famine and food shortages. Besides the ash, The eruption could also release large quantities of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. This gas can combine with water vapor to form sulfuric acid, which can fall to the ground as acid rain. Acid rain can damage crops and make soil less fertile, further reducing crop yields. The eruption of a supervolcano could also have long-term effects on agriculture, with researchers saying that the ash and other volcanic materials that are deposited on the ground would alter the chemical composition of the soil, making it less fertile. The volcanic ash can also release nutrients into the soil, which can lead to an initial boost in plant growth, but can also lead to nutrient depletion over time. The last time a supervolcano erupted was approximately 26,500 years ago, when the Taupo volcano in New Zealand erupted. This eruption was classified as an 8 on the Volcanic Explosivity Index, which is the highest level on the index, with scientists saying that it produced more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of ash and volcanic material. The eruption was so powerful that it created a large caldera or collapsed volcanic crater, which is now filled with water and known as Lake Taupo. Another notable supervolcano eruption occurred approximately 74,000 years ago when the Toba caldera in Indonesia erupted. This eruption produced an estimated 2,800 cubic kilometers of ash and volcanic material, which blanketed much of India and Southeast Asia. The eruption is believed to have had significant global consequences, including a potential cooling effect on the Earth's climate and a genetic bottleneck in human evolution. It is important to note that supervolcano eruptions are relatively rare events and can occur on timescales of hundreds of thousands to millions of years. The bottleneck effect is a genetic phenomenon that occurs when a population is drastically reduced in size, leading to a significant loss of genetic diversity. This can happen due to a number of reasons, such as natural disasters, diseases, or human-driven factors, such as overhunting or habitat destruction. In the context of human evolution, the bottleneck effect refers to the theory that modern humans descended from a small group of our ancestors who survived a population bottleneck event around 70,000 years ago. This bottleneck event has been attributed to a number of factors, including a massive volcanic eruption in Sumatra, Indonesia, which caused a global climate shift and led to a severe reduction in human population size. As a result of the bottleneck event, the human population's genetic diversity was significantly reduced, causing the loss of many genetic variations that had existed in our ancestors. This reduction in diversity is believed to have had several major impacts on human evolution, including making us more vulnerable to certain diseases and diminishing our ability to adapt to environmental changes. However, despite this genetic loss, some variations persisted in the surviving population. Over time, these traits became more prevalent as the human population expanded and diversified, eventually leading to the genetic diversity seen in modern humans. The supervolcano that is most concerning today is Yellowstone, located in northwestern Wyoming. If the Yellowstone supervolcano were to erupt, the consequences would be catastrophic, affecting not just the local area, but potentially the entire planet. The eruption would likely be far more violent and explosive than typical volcanic events. The initial blast could propel ash, gas, and debris tens of thousands of feet into the atmosphere, forming a massive ash cloud. This cloud could spread across the United States and potentially encircle the globe within weeks or months, blocking sunlight and causing temperatures to plummet worldwide. The ash cloud could also trigger a nuclear winter effect, with the reduction in sunlight leading to a global temperature drop and disrupting weather patterns. This could lead to crop failures and food shortages, as well as a range of other environmental and societal impacts. Closer to the eruption site, the ash and debris from the blast could cause widespread devastation. Buildings, roads, and other infrastructure could be buried under several feet of ash, and local communities could be cut off from the outside world for weeks or even months. The explosion could trigger massive mudslides and landslides, and ash fall could pollute water supplies, making them unsafe to drink. In the long term, the Yellowstone eruption could have even more serious consequences. The ash cloud and subsequent nuclear winter could trigger a mass extinction event, wiping out entire species of plants and animals. The eruption could also lead to a long-term cooling trend with global temperatures dropping and climate patterns shifting. Overall, an eruption of the Yellowstone supervolcano would be a global catastrophe with far-reaching and long-lasting consequences for the planet and all its inhabitants. Yellowstone National Park, in collaboration with the U.S. Geological Survey, closely monitors the Yellowstone supervolcano for any changes in behavior that could indicate an impending eruption. The park has an extensive network of monitoring stations that continuously measure and record data on earthquake activity, ground deformation, gas emissions, and other indicators of volcanic activity. The USGS operates the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory, which is dedicated to monitoring and studying the volcano. The observatory employs a range of tools, such as seismometers, GPS devices, and satellite imagery, to observe any changes in the volcano's activity. It also collaborates closely with other organizations, including the National Park Service and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, to ensure preparedness plans are in place for a possible eruption. Alongside monitoring, extensive research is conducted on the region's geology, ecology, and hydrology. This research provides valuable insights into the processes behind volcanic activity and aids scientists in better understanding the potential hazards of the Yellowstone supervolcano. Additionally, the park and its collaborators run outreach and educational programs to help the public grasp the risks and potential consequences of a volcanic eruption. Moving on to the next mystery. Skinwalker Ranch, located in the mysterious winter basin of Utah, has long been enveloped in intrigue and speculation. Known for its bizarre paranormal occurrences, such as UFO sightings, strange creatures, and unexplainable lights, the ranch has piqued the interest of both researchers and enthusiasts. One of the most recent and astonishing revelations from this enigmatic site is the discovery of a wormhole directly above the property, identified using LiDAR technology. This groundbreaking finding could significantly expand our understanding of the ranch's strange phenomena. The journey began with a team of scientists and researchers drawn to Skinwalker Ranch because of its reputation for paranormal activity. Equipped with cutting-edge technology and an insatiable curiosity, they set out to investigate the oddities that seemed to permeate the area. Among their advanced tools was LiDAR, light detection and ranging, a remote sensing technology that uses laser pulses to measure distances to the Earth's surface. LiDAR can penetrate through vegetation and other barriers to reveal hidden features with extraordinary precision. Since taking ownership of the property, Fugel and his dedicated team have conducted numerous experiments, adding to the intrigue surrounding the site. This land has not only attracted significant attention, but also serves as the central focus of the popular TV series The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, which airs on the History Channel. The investigations undertaken delve deeply into the mysteries and anomalies surrounding the area, with a primary focus on uncovering the truths hidden within its mysterious landscape. The rigorous and persistent efforts of the team aim to shed light on the unexplained phenomena that have captured the imaginations of both the scientific community and the general public. In the compelling third season of the series, the entire ensemble, under the guidance of ranch manager Thomas Winterton, embarked on a captivating endeavor aimed at revealing the mysteries concealed beneath the vast and illustrious Mesa Formation. This ambitious undertaking involved an in-depth exploration of the secrets lying dormant within the imposing geological structure, promising to unveil a treasure trove of hidden wonders and long-held mysteries. During the excavation process carried out within the sturdy hill on the ranch, the team stumbled upon a remarkable event that took them by surprise: a mysterious cavity containing an object that appeared indestructible. This unexpected discovery prompted a thorough investigation into the origins and nature of the enigmatic object found within the void. Enthusiastic to unveil the hidden mysteries contained within, they meticulously extracted a segment of the substance for a more thorough analysis. Their initial examination has sparked intriguing speculations among them, suggesting that the mysterious formation in question might actually be a man-made dome. This captivating discovery has prompted them to delve deeper into unraveling the origins and purpose behind this mysterious structure. The main objective of this interview was to engage in a detailed discussion and thorough examination of the intriguing revelation that had been unearthed. When directly asked about the presence of an unknown entity within the mesa, he responded with certainty, affirming the existence of something unusual or non-native hidden within that geological formation. Upon closer inspection and careful thought, it became evident that the object in question stood out as an anomaly, defying conventional explanations. During the excavation process, the team delved deep into the hillside, covering a considerable distance of several hundred feet with the aim of retrieving a mysterious metallic material. Upon thorough analysis, it was clear that the object's presence within the hill could not be attributed to any natural processes. A closer look revealed a perplexing mystery surrounding how the object ended up in that particular location. The implications of this discovery are unmistakable. It suggests the presence of an artificial structure within the hill rather than a naturally occurring formation. This points to intentional human intervention or construction rather than a spontaneous or geological development. After conducting a meticulous examination of the entire mesa, Brandon was left baffled by the intricate details he observed. Embedded within the hill, a distinctly man-made structure could be seen up close, only a few hundred feet away. The discovery of this framework raises numerous questions and deepens the enigma that surrounds it. The performance has successfully engaged and invigorated the interest and passion of each team member, fostering a heightened sense of commitment and concentration towards the common goal. During a remarkable scene documented in the prior season, the team was taken aback by a sudden and overwhelming shaking sensation while conducting drilling operations on the plateau. This unexpected event left the crew in a state of astonishment as they grappled with the sheer magnitude of the tremors, which added a sense of urgency and unpredictability to their work. The level of confusion experienced by them was exceptionally deep to the extent that it rendered them temporarily unable to speak. Thomas elaborated on the crucial obstacle posed by the land's natural sensitivity, emphasizing that this factor has hindered any straightforward attempts to detonate the mesa for excavation purposes even after the lapse of a considerable period. The intricate nature of the terrain necessitates a cautious approach, taking into account the potential repercussions of such actions on the environment and surrounding ecosystem. Oddly enough, researchers over the years have claimed that a swirling vortex of energy resembling a wormhole has been observed hovering directly above the property. The data captured in recent years has revealed anomalies in the atmosphere, indicative of a highly localized disruption in the fabric of space-time. This anomalous phenomenon, unseen to the naked eye, suggested the presence of a wormhole, a hypothetical tunnel through space-time that connects distant points in the universe. The implications of this discovery were profound. A wormhole, if confirmed, would offer a potential explanation for the myriad paranormal phenomena reported at Skinwalker Ranch. UFO sightings, mysterious lights, and encounters with otherworldly beings could all be linked to the presence of this cosmic gateway, allowing for the possibility of interdimensional travel and communication between disparate realms. Further analysis of the data revealed additional anomalies associated with the wormhole. Distortions in the surrounding landscape, fluctuations in electromagnetic fields, and fluctuations in atmospheric pressure were all consistent with the presence of a wormhole. These findings provided compelling evidence to support the existence of this extraordinary phenomenon and sparked renewed interest in the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch. One prevailing theory posited that Skinwalker Ranch sits atop a subtle energy pathway that crisscrosses the Earth's surface and is believed to be conduits for paranormal activity. The interaction of these ley lines with the ranch's geological features and electromagnetic fields could create conditions conducive to the formation of a wormhole, allowing for the manifestation of otherworldly phenomena. Others speculated that the wormhole was a byproduct of advanced technology, either terrestrial or extraterrestrial in origin. The possibility of clandestine government experiments involving the manipulation of space-time for military or scientific purposes could not be ruled out. Alternatively, the presence of extraterrestrial visitors drawn to the ranch by its unique energy signature may have inadvertently created the wormhole as they traversed the cosmos. Regardless of its origins, the discovery of the wormhole underscored the need for further investigation into the mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch. With each new revelation, the mysteries surrounding this strange locale deepened, fueling speculation and fascination among researchers and enthusiasts alike. As technology continues to advance and our understanding of the universe expands, the secrets of Skinwalker Ranch may finally be brought to light, unlocking the truth behind its otherworldly phenomena. One of the most enduring mysteries of Skinwalker Ranch is the phenomenon of strange lights that have been reported to dance across the night sky with otherworldly grace. Witnesses have described seeing orbs of light of varying colors and sizes, moving in inexplicable patterns and defying the laws of physics. Some have theorized that the mysterious lights could be manifestations of extraterrestrial visitors conducting secret operations or observing humanity from a distance. Others propose that they might be the result of experimental military aircraft or natural atmospheric phenomena, though no definitive explanation has emerged. Alongside these strange lights, Skinwalker Ranch is also said to harbor a variety of cryptids and supernatural beings. Among the most notorious is the Skinwalker itself, a shape-shifting entity from Navajo legend, believed to possess dark powers and malevolent intent. Ranch owners and visitors alike have shared chilling accounts of eerie howls in the night and unsettling encounters deep in the wilderness. While skeptics dismiss these stories as mere myths or exaggerations, those who have encountered these phenomena firsthand swear to their authenticity, leaving many to question what other secrets the ranch may conceal. Moving on to the next mystery. In Kennewick, Washington, on February 4, 2003, Sofia Juarez was born to Maria Juarez and Andre Abraham. Her biological father, Andre, was not present at her birth and was reportedly reluctant to accept his role as a parent, particularly during Sofia's early years while he was still living in Mexico. Despite this, Maria Juarez, who had become a mother at just 15 years old, did not let his rejection deter her. She welcomed Sofia into her childhood home, where they lived with a large extended family in the eastern suburbs of Kennewick on the 100 block of East 15th Avenue. The household included Sofia's grandmother, Ignacio Juarez, her grandmother's boyfriend, Jose Torres, as well as 6 of Sofia's aunts and uncles. Maria's siblings, who were Sofia's aunts and uncles, ranged in age due to Maria's own young age, with some being toddlers and others teenagers. Though Sofia was the youngest, she was not the only small child in the home. Maria and her family had immigrated from Mexico to Kennewick, Washington, in the latter half of the 20th century in search of better opportunities. With the economic growth fueled by the nearby Hanford Site nuclear reactors, Kennewick provided a promising environment for work and stability. The Hanford Site played a crucial role in World War II nuclear weapons research and development, serving as the facility responsible for processing plutonium used in the 1945 Fat Man atomic bomb dropped on Nagasaki, Japan. Drawn by the promise of steady blue-collar jobs, people from across the country relocated to the area in search of a peaceful, American dream-style life. Situated on the southern bank of the Columbia River, this town in southeastern Washington benefits from a relatively low elevation, resulting in mild winters and low humidity, an appealing climate for many. Recognizing the opportunities available, the Juarez family saw this as the perfect chance to leave their familiar life in Mexico and start anew in the United States. Their optimism and determination to build a better future were only reinforced by Sofia. Though shy in public, she quickly became a warm and affectionate child, embracing every member of her family. She was often described as a bright, energetic little girl who had a knack for making her mother, aunts, and uncles laugh until their faces hurt. Sofia adored her Barbie dolls and enjoyed playing pretend with her younger relatives, often dressing up in homemade costumes and makeup to pass the time when she wasn't the center of attention. Additionally, she was a devoted cartoon fan, and many believe that her love for animated TV fueled her boundless creativity and vibrant spirit. In addition, Sofia was well known for her love of hamburgers and for informing everyone that she knew they were her favorite cuisine, thanks to the Burger King fast food business. These are the only details we have about the little child since, on the day before she turned 5, her happy, animated voice in the crowded family house on the 100 block of East 15th Avenue suddenly stopped. Now let's examine the sequence of events that culminated in Sofia's disappearance. Tuesday, February 4, 2003, around 8 o'clock at night. Sofia Juarez plays with her younger uncles in one of their bedrooms in East Kennewick. Concurrently, Jose, the boyfriend of Sophia's grandma, gets ready to run errands to the nearby convenience shop, which is just a few blocks away from the Juarez residence. Even though Jose doesn't reside at the house on 15th Avenue, he gets along well with Sophia and the other kids who do. Jose asks the children if they would like to accompany him on his brief excursion to the shop a little after 8 o'clock in the evening. The children all say no to the offer, with Sophia excluded, that is. She initially says she doesn't want to go, but at the last minute, she thinks she would want to go somewhere between 8 and 8:15 p.m. But in that same period of time, Sophia forgets to tell Jose of her newfound conviction, and he leaves the house by himself, leaving Sophia behind. Sophia runs through the home between 8:15 and 9:15 p.m. in an attempt to locate her mother, Maria. When Sophia finds her, she pleads for $1 so that she and Jose can go shopping. After some hesitation, Maria agrees and gives Sophia the money. Maria watches as initially scheduled and returns to her evening activities as originally scheduled. This would be Sophia Juarez's final verified sighting. Although it wouldn't be made public until June 2021, a very reliable witness reports seeing a young girl who fits Sophia's description strolling along South Washington Street, the street that runs alongside 15th Avenue and the Juarez family home, between 8:15 and 9:15 p.m. The subject of this eyewitness story also saw a second child approaching the girl. This time, it's a little Hispanic lad, maybe 11 or 14 years old, and he stands approximately 5 feet tall. In addition, the witness notes that the youngster had unusually huge hands, a baby face that made him appear younger than normal, and black, wavy hair. The witness then witnesses this guy taking the girl's hand and leading her toward a nearby parked van while he chuckles and she sobs. The witness characterized the van as the kind of van you might see builders or painters using. The color is a shade of light blue, silver, or gray that is reminiscent of a full-sized panel van from the 1970s or 1980s with outside windows. It's unclear if Sophia Juarez is being seen in this instance. The witness claims to be the girl who was seen with the suspect and van, though, when the police show her pictures of a younger Sophia. Meanwhile, at the market, Sophia's grandmother Jose's boyfriend buys a gallon of milk and uses one of the pay phones in the store to make a brief call to Mexico. 30 minutes later, at 9:45 p.m., Jose comes home alone from the supermarket. When Maria asks him about Sophia, he responds that she never made it clear that she would be accompanying him and that he never saw Sophia while running his errands. Maria Juarez doesn't waste any time in reporting her daughter missing to the police at 9:53 p.m. 3 minutes later, law enforcement shows up and starts asking questions about what has been going on for the past 2 hours. Maria provides updates on Sophia's whereabouts leading up to her disappearance. Taking this information into account, along with the cold temperatures outside, Sophia's young age, and the fact that she wasn't wearing a coat, authorities quickly rule out the possibility that she simply wandered off or was playing hide-and-seek. Instead, they determine that abduction is the more likely scenario. After a brief round of questioning, officers are deployed to search the Juarez family home, the surrounding yard, the vehicles parked outside, and the nearby area. At least 7 patrol officers are dispatched to parks, open spaces, school districts, and playgrounds throughout the vicinity. Within an hour of the Kennewick Police Department, KPD, receiving the missing persons report, both the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and local media are contacted. At the same time, Washington State issues its first ever Amber Alert, urging the public to remain vigilant in looking for a child matching Sophia's description. By the time the crescent moon rises, nearly everyone in Kennewick, as well as federal and municipal agencies, including the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, are aware of Sophia Juarez's disappearance. Private citizens are particularly eager to assist, with many leaving their homes early in the evening to comb the area for any sign of her. The KPD oversees these search efforts, employing night vision and thermal imaging technology to navigate difficult terrain while coordinating quadrant searches. Within a few hours, the case manager is appointed to monitor developments and support the search, including alerting the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. States that are nearby, such as Oregon, Idaho, California, and Nevada, also receive similar alerts. Even though no results are obtained overnight, an incident management team is assembled on Wednesday, February 5th, in the morning to carry out further search operations. In the course of the next 3 days, more than 500 volunteers from the general public, police officers, FBI agents, IMD staff, and members of the dive and rescue squad are involved in the search. They use cadaver docks, helicopters, airplanes, and even go through sewers and canals to find the missing individual. Police examine the homes of 2 parties in Kennewick and one in the nearby town of Burbank, Washington, on Saturday, February 8th. The mother of the boys who were searched and questioned in Burbank asserts that the police were trying to coerce her sons into making a false confession, but nothing is found. Tuesday, February 11th. 3 days later, the Kennewick Police Department received a report about a sexually explicit phone call between a man from Kennewick and an unknown person. Following the unsettling phone contact, the Kennewick guy allegedly made a strange remark regarding Sophia's disappearance and came to be considered a person of suspicion. Following an extensive interrogation, the individual is accused of telephone harassment but is later absolved of any participation. The Juarez family home hosts a public candlelight vigil later that evening. There are 300 participants. A few weeks later, on Saturday, March 1st, a NASCAR driver named Damon Lusk decides not to use sponsorship opportunities on his racing car and instead puts a picture of Sophia on the outside of the trunk in an effort to spread awareness throughout the country. At about the same time, America's Most Wanted highlights Sophia's case. Although 13 valid phone line tips are received as a result of the coverage, none of them result in anything noteworthy. A few months later, in May 2003, police issued a BOLO report for a full-size van from the mid-1990s that was painted a faded orange color and had a license plate with the letter "J" typed on it. Police have attached a profile for the driver of the van, a 35 to 40-year-old Caucasian man with a thick blonde beard, to the vehicle. These reports originate from an eyewitness who says she saw the suspicious driver and the van at the same location and time that Sophia vanished. Whether the man and his van were ever located is a mystery. In the instance of Sophia Juarez, not much is learned as the months stretch into years. Sophia's mother, Maria Juarez, relocates to California in late 2007 or early 2008. She gives birth to a second kid around the middle of 2008. However, on Saturday, January 10, 2009, a tragic chain of events culminates in Maria's death from medical difficulties. 6 days later, on Friday, January 16th, her ashes are transported through the Kennewick, Washington suburbs using the same path that was used for Sophia's candlelight vigil procession over 6 years prior. A heartfelt homage to the young lady who had never given up on finding her first daughter. Al Weiner, a retired police officer from Richland, Washington, was given new responsibility for the investigation by the Kennewick Police Department in 2015. In February 2021, lead investigator Weiner takes over Sophia Juarez's case. The following month, the Juarez family launches a website dedicated to the search for Sophia, providing public access to accounts from investigative teams that have worked on the case since 2003. The website also includes statements urging anyone with knowledge of Sophia's disappearance to come forward, emphasizing that those involved will not be able to evade justice forever. The most significant breakthrough in the case comes in April 2021, when a TikTok video goes viral, featuring a 22-year-old woman from Culiacan, Mexico, who bears a striking resemblance to the recently released age-progressed images of Sophia. In the video, the woman admits that she doesn't know much about her past and has an aversion to celebrating birthdays. She also shares that she has heard rumors of having been abducted as a child and expresses a desire to reconnect with her biological family. The video quickly gains traction, amassing over 5 million views as TikTok users and social media spectators spread it widely. Investigators working on Sophia's case are alerted to the video and establish contact with the interviewer featured in it. However, in March 2022, investigators announced that DNA testing confirms the 22-year-old woman is not Sophia Juarez. Despite the increased attention surrounding Sophia's case in the wake of the video, by spring 2022, authorities continue to request any and all relevant information as the case remains unsolved. Over the nearly 2 decades since Sophia's disappearance, physical evidence has remained scarce, leaving investigators still searching for definitive leads. Volunteers conducted thorough searches for the missing child for several months, but were able to locate a pair of children's overalls and a stray pair of shoes that looked to belong to a young girl. Although they were given to Maria Juarez, the two articles of clothing were never acknowledged as being worn by Sophia. A farmer discovered pieces of a human skull in the Ritzville, Washington, area in August 2006. The skull fragments were subjected to radiocarbon dating testing in 2007. The skull was discovered to be around 600 years old, making Sophia Juarez's age impossible to match. As the years passed, the leads from these red herrings dwindled and the case went nowhere. That is, until an impromptu interview conducted on the TikTok social media app in April 2021 almost completely turned the case around. In a recent video, Ospala, a popular TikTok celebrity who conducts interviews with individuals in various parts of Mexico and the US, is shown interviewing a young woman in Mexico. If the woman is still living today, she will be the same age as Sophia Juarez, who is believed to be around 22 years old. She is presently receiving treatment for either an addiction or another ailment when she is interviewed at a rehabilitation facility. The interviewer brings up the subject of birthdays in the video, and the woman replies that she dislikes them because of a tragic experience that happened to her when she was a young girl, though we do not have a word-for-word translation. In response to the interviewer's question on why, the woman says that she has no idea where she is from and that she may have been kidnapped or taken as a little child in Mexico or perhaps the United States. The woman concludes by stating that she would like to talk to her relatives in order to understand her background and the specific events of her childhood. Following the video's release, a few TikTok users commented on the post, mentioning Sophia Juarez and pointing out how strikingly similar the woman in the video was to the age-progressed posters created for her. After noticing the discussion regarding Sophia Juarez in the comments, the interviewer uploaded a few more follow-up videos, deviating from the typical material of that TikTok account. He stated that he has informed the relevant investigators of everything he knows and requested additional information from the general public. According to an April statement from Kennewick Police Department investigators, content creators behind the viral TikTok video were actively searching for and attempting to contact the woman featured in it. In June 2021, the KPD issued another update, confirming that they had located the woman, though she remained in a rehabilitation facility. Authorities assured the public that they would provide further details once more information became available. She reportedly continued receiving treatment throughout the summer and into the following year. Then, in March 2022, the KPD released its latest update on Sophia's case, officially ruling the woman out after interviews and DNA testing confirmed she was not Sophia. While the TikTok lead ultimately proved to be a dead end, it highlighted the importance of keeping cold cases in the public eye and sparking discussions about them, regardless of how much time has passed or how unlikely a breakthrough may seem. It may have also played a role in uncovering one of the most crucial eyewitness accounts, a report submitted to the KPD in May 2021 describing a young Hispanic boy leading a girl matching Sophia's description toward a panel van around 8:30 p.m. on February 4, 2003. Although authorities have not directly linked the viral video to this witness coming forward, it is possible that the renewed attention on Sophia's case encouraged the revelation. No matter how improbable it may seem, vital information could come from anywhere in the world, potentially reuniting a missing person with their family or pushing an investigation forward. Because of this, many believe that while Sophia was not found through this interview, it could ultimately be the key that sets the case on the path to resolution. Early theories on child abductions, particularly in cases involving large families, often focus on the last relative seen with the victim. In Sophia Juarez's case, investigators initially prioritized looking into both Jose and Maria. These two adults were the final confirmed sightings of Sophia alive. Fortunately, the mother of Sophia and the grandmother's boyfriend were both able to provide quite credible alibis to the police. Witness evidence had allowed Jose to be tracked down at the grocery shop, and Sophia had never been with him. Although the individual on the other end of the call was identified and had nothing to do with the current issue, some had initially questioned whether his call made from the pay phone at the grocery shop would have been connected to a potential contracted abduction. Other Juarez family members corroborated Maria's story, and she was promptly eliminated as a person of interest. When Sophia left the house on 15th East Avenue, her biological father Andre was still believed to be living in Mexico, so he wasn't purged of all family members nearly as soon. In order to locate and speak with Andre, the Kennewick Police Department collaborated with FBI agents and special agents stationed in Mexico. Andre said he had nothing to do with his daughter's disappearance, while being surprised to learn about it. After investigating the leads he gave them about an alibi, the FBI quickly established Andre's innocence. After all family member rumors were thoroughly dispelled, law enforcement's focus shifted to the entirety of Kennewick, Washington, and the surrounding Tri-Cities area. Kennewick initially gives the impression of being a little, idyllic town that embodies everything that America is proud to be. Blue-collar, hard-working, and a place where everyone can unite to pursue their dreams and improve their own lot in life. Sadly, not everything in Kennewick, Washington, is sunshine and rainbows. Instead, beneath the benign surface of the southeast Washington suburban area is a history rife with peril and tragedy. Kennewick is located in an area that was formerly home to several Native American tribes, including the Wanapum and Yakama peoples. This area was once lush and bustling. Naturally, this peaceful group of Aboriginal people was driven out of the area by settlers in the 18th century, just like every other indigenous population in North America. Furthermore, by the time Lewis and Clark's expedition passed through Kennewick in 1806, two sizable colonization settlements had already asserted their ownership of the region. More sprang up around what is now Kennewick when the Walla Walla Council formally ceded the area to the United States in 1855. Following this, the number of people who traveled the trails to settle in the Pacific Northwest increased dramatically. The Industrial Revolution also brought about a sharp increase in population in Kennewick and the nearby cities in Washington state and Oregon. As previously reported, Kennewick was a thriving community that was selected for the potential Hanford nuclear site in the 1940s. During World War II, one of the main atomic bombs launched on Japan was developed there using plutonium, and a plethora of job prospects accompanied the new. Americans of all stripes soon flocked to Kennewick to take advantage of the city's abundance of jobs and allure as a suburban area. It seemed to be the ideal refuge for both single people and families. That is, for people with white skin and their families. Kennewick used unsettling patterns of racial discrimination against members of any minority, but especially African Americans, under the false pretense of perfection. In fact, Kennewick had a reputation as a sleepy town before, during, and immediately following the American Civil Rights Movement of the 1950s and 1960s. Sunset towns, sometimes referred to as gray towns or sunset towns, are primarily white cities and communities in the United States that are known to practice and uphold racial segregation, denying non-whites access to local privileges and enforcing this discriminatory behavior through the use of both violent and coercive techniques. One such sundown town that was well known for requiring African Americans to leave the city limits by the end of dusk was Kennewick. Black residents in Kennewick faced harassment in broad daylight, both from plainclothes civilians and the police. African American men and women were also prohibited from owning land, which forced them to live in East Pasco, a neighborhood in the Tri-Cities, alongside other non-white individuals. Over time, Kennewick began to shed its reputation as a sundown town, and thanks to various federal laws, minorities, including African Americans, gained some level of fair and equal treatment in the community. However, this legal change did not automatically shift the deeply ingrained prejudices of those who had lived in Kennewick for generations. While the town has made strides toward greater inclusivity and empathy in the new millennium, its history cannot simply be erased. Families raised with deep-seated racism and bigoted values often pass these attitudes down to the next generation. This cultural legacy could have placed Sofia Juarez in a vulnerable position, potentially making her a victim of a hate crime or racial incident. As Mexican immigrants, the Juarez family might have been seen as outsiders or undesirable in the eyes of some locals, due to both their ethnicity and their relatively recent move to Kennewick. In light of the negative stereotypes surrounding Mexican Americans, particularly related to immigration debates, it's plausible that Sofia and her family were targeted by certain individuals based on their skin color or heritage. However, an important counter to this theory comes from eyewitness testimony given in May 2021, where a witness recalled seeing a young Hispanic boy leading a girl resembling Sophia into a van in February 2003. Given that Sophia's ethnic identification was shared by the most likely suspects to this day, how could it be a hate crime? Nevertheless, a person's identification does not completely preclude them from being a victim of a crime based on their race or ethnicity. The Hispanic lad, who might have been a victim of child abduction himself, might have been coerced into securing small children as part of a kidnapping plot. This is a common method used in human trafficking operations to hide the operators' identities. That being said, because of the randomness of the events, Sophia's kidnapping might not have qualified as a hate crime. Even if her kidnapping was prearranged, no one could have predicted her simple disappearance and public exposure to expose the biases of those engaged. Hate crimes are frequently planned ahead of time and made public to expose the prejudices of the perpetrators. Additionally, there was no pattern of missing children from minority groups in Kennewick about 2003. The Juarez family was not the only minority living in the Tri-Cities, as evidenced by the fact that 24.2% of Kennewick's population is Hispanic or Latino as of 2010. No other families have reported kidnappings comparable to this one, either before or since. Of course, a certain amount of hate crimes still occur in communities with higher minority population percentages. This is not to argue that it is impossible due to the numbers alone. First-generation Americans and immigrants are more likely to be the subject of public animosity. Therefore, patterns alone cannot be the decisive factor. Apart from broad conjecture about kidnapping, there aren't many strong indications pointing to any particular outcome for Sophia Juarez. The KPD has received reports mentioning the theory that Sophia was hit by a driver and fled the scene out of fear. The tips include the names and vehicle descriptions of potential witnesses. Investigators have, however, investigated all of these without finding any evidence to support them. One thing is certain. Everyone believes that whoever abducted Sophia or was directly responsible for her disappearance originated in Kennewick. Most likely, it was a crime of opportunity committed by a familiar street person who Sophia would have recognized. Maria Juarez insisted on telling the police and other outlets that she knew the person who had taken Sophia. She went on to note that although her daughter was an animated and vivacious youngster at home, she was extremely shy and reserved in public, particularly when other people were around. She also mentioned that her daughter had never willingly left the house on her own. Was Sophia acquainted with the small child with the newborn's face who guided the girl to the panel van? She might have known the youngster, but not the driver of the van. Perhaps the van driver had been observing Sophia for some time and decided to take advantage of the ideal opportunity. In any case, everyone is aware that Sophia was abducted against her will. It still remains to be seen who did it. Because Sophia Juarez was a toddler when she vanished, and there is only one possible conclusion, her story differs from most other missing person cases we bring attention to. She was taken hostage and did not flee on her own initiative. Nevertheless, this does not imply that Sophia has passed away. There are individuals out there that have self-preserving secrets from an unknown past that they are working to solve, much like the TikTok phenomenon demonstrated. Regarding the actual kidnapping, we are convinced that the witness who came forward in May 2022 saw the perpetrators. Our suspicion is that the boy who escorted Sophia away while she sobbed wasn't acting alone. Rather, he was a puppet for an older suspect who used the boy to entice other kids into danger. We also think Sophia might have recognized the boy, or at least been relieved to see someone who resembled a kid. We can't be positive, but it's possible that the boy was trying to defuse the situation rather than laughing since he understood what would happen to Sophia. Either way, the boy's and whoever's behavior in the panel van behind him are unacceptable and ought to be held accountable. Sophia might still be alive, and the youngster and whoever he was working with hold the key to providing the most important response. Recall that the youngster seen interacting with Sophia on South Washington Street in Kennewick, Washington, was assessed by the witness to be between 11 and 14 years old, translating to 29 to 32 years old now. The youngster was described as being between 5 and 6 feet 2 inches tall, with a light complexion and Hispanic ancestry. He was overweight, and the baby fat that was still visible around his face gave him a plumper look that could be mistaken for a baby's face. There was a faint trace on his cheek that might have been a birthmark or a bruise. The boy's hair was about 1.5 inches long, dark and curly. The bangs were pushed flat with what looked like grease or hair gel. The youngster was most notable for having hands that were larger than normal for a boy his age. We don't currently know the specifics of the attire. The full-sized panel van was reported as having no side windows and being either a 19-70S or 19-80S model, with light blue, silver, or gray paint. Keeping these descriptions in mind, please call the KPD at 509-582-1331 or email the special investigator at alwainer@citickunawik.us if you have any information that could link these things to the overall investigation. By phone, Crime Stoppers USA can be reached at 1-800-222-TIPS. Ultimately, our aim is to return an innocent soul to her family and the life she was stolen from far too soon. The heartbreaking reality that Sophia's mother, Maria, was never given the chance to learn what truly happened to her daughter, along with the pain felt by the other surviving members of the Juarez family, including Sophia's half-sister, who would have done anything to bring her home, is overwhelming. Despite her brief life, Sophia made a lasting impression on everyone who knew her. There was something special about the way her smile and infectious energy brightened the home on the 100 block of East 15th Avenue. Sophia had a gift for lifting people out of the darkness and into the warmth of love and laughter, no matter how tough their day had been. Had Sophia been given the chance to grow, she would have left a profound mark on the world. A mark that, because of a tragic event casting a shadow over what was once a quiet, blue-collar town, may never come to be. Sophia was a joyful little girl who loved bright crafts, cheeseburgers, and cartoons. Instead of remembering her only as a missing person, we can choose to remember her as a real, vibrant individual who could still be out there. Her story is far from over. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring these intriguing unsolved mysteries with me. If you found the video fascinating, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Unsolved Mystique for more deep dives into unsolved mysteries. Your support helps me bring you more compelling content. Leave a comment below with your thoughts or any mysteries you'd like me to cover next. See you in the next video.